There are days when we wake up and our hearts already feel heavy. Not because of anything big, but because many small anxieties accumulate like a layer of dust covering our souls. A sudden reproach, a cold glance from someone, a disappointment at work, an emotional upheaval that makes our hearts ache dully. All of these blend together into a prolonged weariness that makes us want to withdraw deep within ourselves and face no one. Everyone around us is still living, still moving. But within us, there is an invisible burden pressing down, making our steps slow, and our minds want to give up. This is not weakness. This is a sign that the heart is crying out for a pause. Because humans were not born to run endlessly in a spiral of fatigue. Sometimes the mind also needs to breathe, to rest, to return to its most peaceful state. The Buddha taught that when you are tired, stop. When your mind is troubled, let it be. These teachings are like a drop of water seeping into the heart. Whenever life pushes us to the brink of exhaustion, it reminds us that stopping is not giving up, but finding ourselves again before continuing. Some people ask why life makes us so tired. Did we do something wrong? Are we not good enough that we suffer so much? Actually, no. Everyone has days when their heart wants to give up, to escape the noise and accumulated responsibilities. Even the strongest person sometimes bows their head from being overwhelmed. The important thing is not how many times we fall, but whether we know how to gently give ourselves the chance to get back up. When life becomes heavy, we often force ourselves to try a little harder, to be stronger, to keep going. Even if our legs are trembling, the more we try, the more tired we feel. The more we push, the more our hearts become compressed. At some point, we won't have enough breath to continue. So, right now, allow yourself to stop for a moment. Let your mind settle like a tranquil lake without ripples. Let yourself breathe. Sit still in the space of stillness that you have long forgotten. Life is not always bright and vibrant. There will be times when the path is blurry, when our hearts are restless, when the world seems to turn its back on us. But it is in those moments, if we know how to look at life from a different angle, we will see that there is still a ray of hope waiting to be seen. Like the last light of day shining on the ground after a rain. Though fragile, it is enough to warm the heart of someone who is drifting. If you are listening to this teaching while your heart feels heavy, the Lin Ung Buddhist Dharma wants to say that you are not weak. You are just overwhelmed. That is a normal thing for a heart that knows how to feel. This teaching is like a small shelter for you to temporarily stay, a quiet place for you to put down your burdens and take a deep breath. During this time, you don't need to be strong. You don't need to solve everything. You don't need to try to prove anything to anyone. You just need to be here, listening to each gentle word flow into your heart and letting your mind find its inherent balance. Remember that behind the exhaustion, there is always a door of rebirth. The Buddha taught that life never takes everything from us. When one door closes, another path opens. We just need to be calm enough to see it. In the stillness of this moment, you will encounter yourself. You will realize that you still have more strength than you think. And then, when your mind is at peace, you will be able to walk more lightly, more gracefully, like a flower blooming after a long rain. When life becomes too heavy and we feel every step is filled with pressure, we often tend to look at everything around us with eyes already weary. The more tired the mind, the sadder everything appears. The heavier the heart, the bigger every small matter becomes. In those moments, it's easy for us to equate everything as bad, terrible, or unfair. But the Buddha taught that if your mind is weary, try looking at life from a different perspective. Because sometimes the problem is not with life, but with the jaded eyes of each person. Once we change our perspective, what seemed hopeless can become a valuable lesson, and what seemed like a burden can transform into an opportunity for the mind to mature and become stronger. Many people wonder why they get more tired the longer they live. Why do things become increasingly difficult? Why do the things they want not come, while the things that bother them keep appearing? But the answer is not in avoidance or complaint, but in what perspective we are using to look at life. If we look with negativity, everything becomes dark. If we look with clarity, we will understand that every difficulty has its own meaning. Challenges do not come to abandon us, but to help us look back at ourselves, to help us cultivate patience, to help us realize what is truly important in this life. Imagine your day starting with a small thing that makes your mind unhappy. It could be an unintentional word from someone, a slight delay at work, a family incident. If your mind is already tired, even a small matter can make you feel like the world is against you. But if you pause for a moment, change your way of thinking, you will see that the situation is not as serious as you thought. A word is just a word. A difficulty is just a small challenge. A failure is just a step back to give us a chance to move forward more steadily. Look differently, and we will live more lightly. Look differently, and we will blame ourselves less. Look differently, and we will gradually lessen our sadness and stress. The Buddha taught that, in life, every experience carries a seed. That seed can be joy, or it can be sorrow. But whatever it is, it helps us grow. When we change our perspective, we will clearly see that suffering is not meant to end life, but to open a new door of understanding. Just as rain is not meant to make us wet, but to wash away the dust from the road and refresh the earth and sky. The rains of life are the same. Although they may soak us, afterwards comes a clearer, more peaceful, and more beautiful sky. A gentle smile when the mind is tired can be the first step towards peace. When we smile, everything remains the same, but the mind has changed. This change, though small, can soothe the turmoil that is entangling the heart. A smile is also a way to tell ourselves that we are okay, that we can still look at life with a more compassionate, self-possessed, and gentle gaze. The Lin Ung Buddhist Dharma wants to tell you the story of Ms. Lan, a simple story that illuminates the meaning of changing perspectives in life. Ms. Lan, 68 years old, lived alone in her old, small house. She suffered from arthritis, had difficulty walking, and often felt lonely. Whenever the weather changed, her pain worsened, making her even sadder and more prone to self-pity. Neighbors passing by often saw her, an old woman sitting silently in her yard, her eyes distant and heavy. One hot and humid afternoon, the scorching heat caused her only fan to suddenly flicker and stop. She sighed, becoming annoyed. All the worries in her heart seemed to surge up at once. She blamed fate, blamed old age, and blamed life itself for treating her so harshly. The more she thought, the more angry and suffocated she felt. Min, a 12-year-old boy living nearby, passed by and, hearing her sigh, ran over to check on her. Min politely asked what was wrong and then saw the dust-covered fan. He opened it to check and found that it was just a tripped circuit breaker on the porch due to old wiring. Min ran out, reset it, then returned and used a cloth to wipe the dust off the fan blades. When Min plugged it in to test, the fan whirred like a new breath flowing into the house. Ms. Lan watched the fan working again and suddenly felt her eyes well up. A small story, but it made her realize that sometimes life isn't as bad as we think. It's not that life is against us. It's just that we are looking at everything with tired eyes. Just by changing our perspective a little, not blaming, not rushing to be sad, not letting emotions carry us away, we will see that there is still so much love around us. Min was not a relative. The boy had no responsibility to help her. But thanks only to his kindness and small hands, she felt as if she had found a ray of hope that she thought had long been extinguished. The story of Ms. Lan, though simple, carries a profound lesson. When our minds are tired, everywhere we look, we see wrong, bad, or unfair. But when we change our perspective, our hearts will open. That openness helps us realize that life still holds many good things. The question is whether we are calm enough to see them. An incident does not mean the whole day turns bad. A difficulty does not mean an entire life turns dark. A failure does not mean we are useless. And a stopped fan does not mean life is harsh to us. Remember that fatigue often distorts our perception of things. When the mind is at peace, the scenery is peaceful. When the mind is clear, the path is clear. When the mind is in turmoil, the scenery also follows. Therefore, the important thing is not to change life, but to change the way we look at life. If you are feeling pressured, try asking yourself a gentle question. Is the situation really as bad as you think? Or is it just because your mind is too heavy? Does the person you are angry with truly want to hurt you? Or is it just a misunderstanding? Does the work you feel stuck in truly have no way out? Or have you not tried looking at it differently? A simple question can open up a whole new horizon. The Buddha taught that everything in life has causes and conditions. When we perceive correctly, we will see that nothing happens without reason. A person appears to teach us a lesson about compassion. A problem arises for us to learn a lesson about patience. A difficulty comes for us to learn a lesson about growth. And each time we look differently, we will feel our hearts expand a little, become a little calmer, and a little brighter. When your heart is tired, you can practice a small method to help your mind look at life more lightly. Sit still for a moment. Place your hands on your chest. Close your eyes and breathe very slowly. As you inhale, listen to your breath enter your body like cool water, washing away fatigue. As you exhale, release the things that are weighing heavily on your heart. Continue this for a few minutes. Your mind will calm down, and you will have enough serenity to see things more clearly. You can also practice writing a few things you are grateful for each day. Grateful for a meal, for someone who helped you, for a gentle greeting from someone, or simply grateful that you still have the opportunity to live and see life with your own eyes. Another way to change perspective is to practice forgiveness. Forgiveness is not about forgetting everything, but about lightening your heart. When you cannot forgive, the burden is in your heart, not in the person who hurt you. Let go a little, and you will find yourself walking much lighter. Let go to see more clearly that life still has many paths for you to choose, not just one dead end. Believe that even if your eyes are tired, your heart still has so much potential to blossom. Tiredness is just a temporary state, while the ability to revive is always present in every breath, every thought, every day of life for each person. And when you look at life from a different perspective, you will see that what you thought was lost still remains. What you thought was too late is just beginning. What you considered the worst thing turns out to be a turning point for you to become better. The Lin Ung Buddhist Dharma wants to gently but profoundly remind you of one thing. When life is heavy, change your perspective. When your mind is tired, turn inward. When your heart is sad, look back at the things that are silently protecting you. The Buddha taught that everything that happens is to help us grow. Every challenge carries a beautiful purpose that we have not yet seen. And each time you look at life from a different perspective, you are opening another door to peace for yourself. When life becomes too exhausting, we often tend to carry everything in our hearts, from everyday worries and work pressures to old issues we thought we had moved past, but are still there. People get tired, not just because life is tough, but because there are too many things piled up in their minds. Each day that passes, we carry a little more fear, a little more disappointment, a little more resentment, and then, unconsciously, think that we must hold on to them. We forget an important thing. The mind is like a room. If old things keep filling it up, light can hardly enter. The Buddha taught that attachment is suffering. Letting go is peace. That teaching is like a door gently opening in the darkness. It reminds all of us that not everything heavy on our shoulders needs to be carried. Many people ask why they always feel melancholic, even if nothing major has happened. Why their hearts always ache when they think about the past, and why they sometimes feel like they're pulling themselves down, even though life is not necessarily too harsh. The answer lies in what? We still hold on to too many things we shouldn't. Those who hold on to anger suffer from anger. Those who hold on to sadness suffer from sadness. Those who hold on to old failures never see the new door opening before them. The suffering of clinging to the past is always deeper than the suffering that life brings. That is why the Buddha always reminded us to keep what is worth keeping and let go of what should be let go. It sounds easy, but is actually a lifelong challenge. In life, there isn't much worth keeping. That is kindness, sincerity, gratitude, love for important people, self-confidence, and inner peace. However, what should be let go of is often abundant. We should let go of anger, bitterness, and unintentional words that make us sad for many days. Let go of regret for things we cannot change, and even let go of people who have chosen to leave. When the mind is too full, even small joys have no room to enter. When the mind is too heavy, even a light step becomes burdensome. There are times when you will feel like you are carrying an invisible bag of rocks. With each sorrow, another rock is added. Each time you resent, you place another rock inside. Then one day, you ask yourself why you can't walk. Why does every day feel so tiring? Why do you just want to lie down and not get up again? You forget that you brought the heavy load upon yourself. No one forced you to hold on to those things. It's just that you haven't learned how to let go. And life doesn't lighten itself just because we are tired. Only we can lighten our own minds. The story of Mr. Hung, a 35-year-old Mason, is a simple example that carries a great lesson. Every day, Mr. Hung carried a heavy backpack to the construction site. Outsiders thought it was his work tools, but actually, the backpack contained all sorts of miscellaneous things he no longer used. There were old papers from years ago, some broken items, and even things he didn't remember putting in. One day, a colleague asked him why he carried such a heavy load. Mr. Hung was startled to realize he had become accustomed to living that way, accustomed to carrying heavy loads without thinking, accustomed to holding on to things that were no longer necessary. Then, when he sat down to reorganize his backpack, he saw that some things had been there for too long, simply because he hadn't paid attention. As he took out each item, he felt the backpack get lighter. And when the backpack became lighter, he suddenly understood that in his heart, he also had another backpack filled with sad memories, resentments, and old failures that he had silently carried every day. He realized that when he was young, he had big dreams. Once thought life would have many opportunities. But when he encountered failure, he kept that disappointment in his heart. When someone hurt him, he stored another scar in his mind. All of these he kept in that invisible backpack. And so, he carried it for many years. When he removed some items from his real backpack, he felt his steps lighten. When he cleared out the backpack in his heart, he found his life also became lighter. He told his friend, "Sometimes people suffer not because life is hard, but because they don't know how to let go." From that moment, he began to change. He learned not to keep too much in his heart. When someone made him sad, he allowed himself to feel it, but didn't hold on to it for long. When he faced a new failure, he stepped back and looked from a different angle to remind himself that a stumble is just one step on a long road. And when he recalled old hurts, he no longer let them suffocate him. He learned to accept and then put them down. He said that each time he put down a sorrow, he felt like he took another step on a brighter path. Mr. Hung's story is very ordinary, but reflects the lives of many people. All of us have carried such a heavy bag in our minds. Some carry family matters, some carry emotional issues, some carry unfinished dreams, some carry words that still hurt them today. The most frightening thing is not those incidents, but that we keep holding on to them forever. We think that forgetting something is betraying a memory, is abandoning responsibility to the past. But the truth is, letting go is not forgetting. Letting go is not discarding. Letting go is simply freeing yourself. When a person is too attached, they're like standing before a new door, but constantly turning back to look behind. They forget that the future needs space to enter. Just as a house needs to be cleaned to be tidy, The mind needs to let go, to be at peace. We cannot hold on to everything and expect our hearts to be light. Humans were not born to carry the whole world on their shoulders. Humans were born to learn how to walk through that world with a light heart. And the heart is only light when it knows how to put down what it's time to put down. Many people fear letting go because they think they will lose something. But the truth is, when you let go of something unnecessary, you lose nothing. You are simply returning to life what does not belong to you. You are simply taking off the burdens that you tied onto yourself. You are simply clearing your mind so that more beautiful things have room to enter. Letting go is not losing. Letting go is knowing that you deserve to live more peacefully. The Buddha taught that there are two kinds of things in life: what needs to be kept, don't let go of. What should be let go of, don't hold on to. A wise person is one who knows how to distinguish between these two. Holding on to old sorrows is a waste of life. Holding on to unnecessary resentments is self-inflicted pain. While cultivating compassion, maintaining awareness, and holding on to honesty helps our minds brighten each day. When you learn this, your life will become much simpler. In the process of healing, you can start with a gentle practice. Sit down in a quiet space, close your eyes, relax your shoulders, relax your chest, and inhale deeply. Feel the air touching your body. Exhale slowly. Feel the heaviness leaving you. Repeat this a few times until you feel your breath become lighter. When your breath is calm, your mind will easily settle. Then ask yourself, is there anything in your heart that is too old that you are unconsciously holding on to? Is there anything that makes you sad whenever you remember it? Are there any words you have kept in your heart for too long? Name them in your mind. When you can name the burden, you have walked halfway to letting go. After naming them, imagine these things are like stones. Place each stone in your hand. Feel its weight. Then gently place them on the ground, one by one. Each time you put one down, say to yourself, I deserve to be light. I deserve to be at peace. I don't need to keep these things anymore. When you truly let go of something in your mind, you will feel your body lighten, as if you have just taken off a heavy coat. That feeling is very real and liberating. Besides practicing meditation and breathing, you can also write down everything that weighs on your heart. You don't need to write well. You don't need to write correctly. Just write honestly. Write to unburden your heart. Write to see that you have been carrying too much. And when you are done writing, look back and ask yourself what is truly worth keeping in your life. For the things not worth keeping, you can tear up that paper or fold it and put it somewhere as a reminder that you have chosen to let go. Consciously letting go is the first step to saving yourself. The most important thing I want to convey to you is a gentle reminder that life doesn't force you to be strong all the time, but life always gives you the right to be light. As long as you allow yourself to put down the things that have caused you suffering for too long, don't be afraid to let go. Don't think you will lose something. In fact, you are just returning to yourself, returning to a heart wide enough to love, bright enough to see clearly, peaceful enough to smile in the face of life's changes. Remember that attachment causes the mind to suffer. Letting go brings peace to the mind and a heart that knows when to let go is always a truly free heart. There are days when we wake up with our hearts heavy, as if a stone has been placed on our chests, with a feeling of not wanting to get out of bed, not wanting to face anyone, not wanting to do anything, just wanting to let everything be. These are days when our minds are submerged in fatigue because we no longer believe in ourselves, no longer believe in the path we are taking, no longer believe that tomorrow will be brighter than today. Such fatigue often appears after we stumble, after moments when we try very hard, but the results are not as expected, after months of placing all our trust in one direction, only to see it collapse. This weariness is very real, making the heart easily give up and the spirit easily weaken. Everyone has gone through such times. No matter who they are, no matter how strong, they have all had moments of doubting themselves, blaming themselves, feeling inadequate. Failure has the power to touch the deepest fears within each person. It makes us think that we are not good enough, not talented enough, not worthy enough to continue. But the Buddha taught that failure is not the end. Failure is just a gentle reminder that we are still moving, we are still living, we are still learning to grow. When a person still fails, it means they are still moving forward. Only those who stay still in their comfort zone are truly stagnant. Failure has never been a bad thing. It's only the way we look at failure that makes it a fear or a stepping stone. When we view failure as a disaster, we suffer. When we view failure as a lesson, we grow. Failure is just the form life uses to teach us how to live more correctly, more consciously, and more steadfastly. Many people suffer because they remain in the shadow of old failures. They repeat questions that trouble their minds. Why did I make a mistake? Why am I not as good as others? Why did I try so hard and still not succeed? They turn their backs on the future because their eyes are fixed on the sadness of the past. This is what makes them tired, makes them lose hope, makes them forget that the light of tomorrow is still waiting for them to step into. Every path in life has stones that trip us. What matters is not the fall, but how we get up. The more mature a person is, the more they understand that failure is just an inevitable part of the journey. No one grows wise in peace. No one becomes strong without ever feeling pain. No one understands the value of success without having tasted the saltiness of failure. Look at stumbles as stepping stones that help us go further. The human psyche, when facing failure, often recoils as if seeking refuge. We fear the judgment of others, the gossip, the criticism. But the greatest fear is still the fear that we cannot get back up ourselves. In fact, what hurts us is not failure, but the thought we sow in our minds that we have completely lost. Our minds give up before life even has a chance to challenge us again. And when the mind gives up, all paths darken. But the Buddha taught that life may be difficult, but the mind can choose how to see it. When the mind is still open, life still has many directions to go. When the mind knows how to embrace, failure becomes a lesson. When the mind knows how to let go of fear, the path ahead brightens. Like a small lamp that can illuminate an entire room, a small belief can also light up the heart. The important thing is not how many times you have fallen, but whether after each fall, your heart still desires to walk on. The story of Ms. Trin, a woman who opened a small motorcycle repair shop, is a clear testament to the power of perseverance after initial failure. Ms. Trin is 29 years old this year. She had no significant capital, no one to support her, no business knowledge, only faith in the trade she had learned, and the desire to stand on her own 2 feet. She opened a small motorcycle repair shop on a street corner. On opening day, she wiped the new signboard, her hands trembling with joy. She placed each tool in its proper position. She hoped many customers would come that day, so she would have a chance to start. But throughout that morning, the wind blowing through the shop was more frequent than the number of customers who stopped by. Passers-by only looked and moved on. Some paused for a moment, but when they saw that the owner was a woman, they shook their heads and left. They said, "What does a woman know about repairing motorcycles?" Some even sneered, making her heart ache as if someone was squeezing it. She tried to maintain a smile, but her eyes were welling up with tears. By evening, she sat alone in the shop and let her tears fall onto her oil-stained hands. It was the first time she had felt such heavy failure, but after crying, she asked herself if she wanted to give up. The answer from deep within her heart was no. The next day, she woke up earlier than usual. She read more books on motorcycle repair, watched more instructional videos, and learned from older mechanics. She decided to offer free repairs to poor customers to gain experience and also to build good relationships. Some accepted and were surprised by how carefully she repaired motorcycles. They told their friends, and one person recommended another. Small praises began to appear. Her confidence was built up little by little. A month later, more and more customers came. People no longer cared that she was a woman. They only looked at her quality and dedication. The small shop gradually became bustling. Some days, she couldn't finish all the work. She looked back at her first failure and smiled. She said that if she had given up that day, this repair shop wouldn't exist now. She not only repaired motorcycles, she also repaired her own faith. The initial failure was just a test to see how steadfast she was, and she stood firm. Her story is not meant to say that everyone will succeed after persevering, but to remind us that failure is never the final conclusion. It is only part of the process. Like a young tree needs wind to become strong. Like water needs to be boiled to become a new state, humans need failure to know how strong they are. Only by accepting failure as part of the journey can we not fear it when it comes. Life does not force us to be perfect. Life only wants us to become more real. Each mistake is an opportunity to look back. Each fall is an opportunity to learn more about ourselves. Failure is where the mind is sharpened to be keener, brighter, and more humble. The more failures we go through, the more we learn to handle life calmly. The more we understand that pain is not meant to make us collapse, but to make us appreciate peaceful days. If you are going through some failure, allow yourself to breathe. Breath is the bridge that brings the mind back to the present. When you feel your mind is chaotic, sit down for a moment. Relax your shoulders. Close your eyes. Inhale slowly and deeply. Exhale gently and long. Each breath is a moment you let go of a fear in your mind. When your breath becomes steady, your mind will begin to settle. And when your mind has settled, you will see more clearly what you are facing. The pain will no longer be as intense as it was initially. Failure will no longer be as frightening as you thought. After your breath calms, you can write down the reasons for your failure, not to blame yourself, but to understand better. Write down what you did well, what you could do better. Write all the emotions overflowing in your heart. You will find yourself beginning to look at things more objectively. When we identify pain, we can also heal it. The next practice is to view failure as a teacher. You can ask yourself, what is this failure here to teach me? Perhaps it's to teach you more patience. Perhaps to teach you to prepare better. Perhaps to teach you to distinguish what to hold on to and what to let go of. Or perhaps simply to teach you that your heart can endure more than you think. Every lesson has its own value if we know how to look with an open mind. And finally, forgive yourself. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone has moments of weakness. No one gets it right the first time. Forgiving yourself is not about dismissing responsibility, but about accepting that you are just a human being still evolving. Forgive so that you can move forward. Forgive so that your mind doesn't carry an extra burden. I want to send you a gentle reminder. Don't be afraid to face failure. Don't think it comes to make you fall. Failure only comes to remind us that we are learning every day. And someone who learns from failure is never a loser. You are still walking. You are still living. You are still growing. Remember that darkness only obscures the light when we refuse to walk. But when we take one more step, the light will appear. The Buddha taught that whoever embraces failure will find the path to wisdom and peace. Keep that faith in your heart and keep going. You are strong enough to go further than you think. As life becomes increasingly exhausting, when invisible pressures constantly surround our hearts and make it difficult to breathe, we often think that we lack something externally. We think we need to try harder, have more, achieve more of what society labels as success. Then we keep running, getting caught in the whirlwind of desires, until at some point we ask ourselves why we always feel heavy, even when seemingly having everything. It is in those suffocating moments that the Buddha taught that humans suffer because they want too much, suffer because they hold on to too much, suffer because they fill their minds with things that are not truly important. When we haven't learned to simplify life, our minds will be like a small room crammed with belongings, with no room to breathe. To be light, we must first clear our hearts and simplify our lifestyle. Many of us think that living simply is only for the poor or those without dreams. But the Buddha taught that simplicity is a form of wisdom, because a person who knows how to live simply is one who understands the true nature of happiness. When we let go of something unnecessary, we don't lose anything. Instead, we regain freedom for our souls. When we know how to choose the most important things, we make life clearer. And when we know how to smile at small things, we make our hearts blossom amidst a life still full of storms. Have you ever wondered why your life has become so complicated? Why every day feels heavy, even though what happens isn't necessarily terrifying? Many times, it's not life that's complicated, but the human heart that's troubled by comparison, troubled by desires, troubled by the fear of being inferior. We want more money, We want others to recognize us. We want our families to be as good as our friends. We want our children to be better than others. We want to have everything to prove that we are okay. These desires, if not illuminated by wisdom, will become vines wrapping around the mind and tying us down. The Buddha taught that humans are truly free only when they know contentment. Knowing contentment does not mean stopping or no longer striving, but understanding where you are and what is worth keeping. When the mind knows contentment, life naturally becomes peaceful. I want to tell you the story of Mr. Tin, a 40-year-old man living in a small neighborhood. He worked a normal office job. His wife, Ms. Hoa, was gentle and hardworking. Their family was not wealthy, but they weren't so poor that they had to worry about every meal. Yet, for many years, Mr. Tin always felt dissatisfied with his life. He wanted a bigger house, a better car, and more expensive things to prove that he was a capable provider. He thought it was a man's responsibility. He believed that buying a lot and owning a lot would make his family happy. So, every month, he saved money to buy many things that were not truly necessary. When he saw a colleague get a new phone, he also wanted to upgrade. When he saw a neighbor buy a bigger TV, he pondered if he should follow suit. When he went to the supermarket, he easily picked up an item, thinking it would make his family life more complete. Ms. Hoa repeatedly reminded him that these things might not be important, but he always brushed her off. He thought his wife didn't understand the pressure a man faced. He only wanted his children to look up to their father and feel proud later in life. However, the more he bought, the more tired he felt. At the end of every month, he and his wife worried about paying off credit card debts. Family meals became less frequent as he busied himself earning money to feed his own desires. He no longer had much time to talk with his wife. He had no time to play with his children. Every evening, he came home late, his face heavy as lead. His 3-year-old daughter often looked at her father and didn't understand why he always frowned. One time, Ms. Hoa recounted that the child asked, "Does Daddy hate me?" That question choked her up. But it wasn't until one day that he himself heard that question from his daughter's mouth. It was a weekend, but he still brought work home. He sat in front of the computer, his eyes strained. His daughter ran up, hugged his leg, and asked in a clear voice, "Daddy, can you eat dinner with me?" She added that Daddy rarely smiles. That small question was like an awakening bell ringing in his heart. He suddenly realized he was striving to buy luxuries, forgetting that what his child needed was just a family meal and a sincere smile from her father. He had let his mind wander too far and left happiness waiting behind. That night, he sat silently for a long time. He looked back at every item he had bought. Many items were still in their boxes, unused. He suddenly felt his heart heavy, but it was the heaviness of realization. He understood that the things he tried to buy did not make his family happier, but only made his mind more troubled and life more stressful. From that day on, he decided to change. Not because anyone forced him, but because he himself wanted to find the peace he had lost. He began to learn how to live minimally. Every morning, he spent a few minutes asking himself what was truly necessary for that day. He abandoned the habit of impulsive shopping. He stopped comparing himself to neighbors or colleagues. He focused only on his family, on the things that truly brought long-term value. In the evenings, instead of sitting in front of the screen, he turned off his phone early and cooked a simple meal with his wife. Just 3 dishes: a vegetable dish, a soup, and a braised dish. But that meal was filled with laughter, not because the food was special, but because the mood of everyone in the family was light. At one point, he realized that this very simplicity helped him clearly feel that happiness was not in the amount of money he spent, but in the feeling of being close to those he loved. He saw his daughter smile more. He saw Ms. Hoa less pensive, and he also felt himself strangely lighter. Minimalism did not make him poorer. On the contrary, it made him richer. Rich in understanding, rich in affection, rich in time, rich in peace. Mr. Tin's story shows us that living simply is not about giving up conveniences, but about letting go of unnecessary wants. When we simplify life, we are creating more space for joy to be present. When we let go of desires, we are preserving energy for our hearts. The Buddha taught that when the mind is at peace, the environment is peaceful. When the mind is troubled, life is troubled. The first thing we need to change is not the external environment, but the way we look at everything. When we look at life with gentle eyes, we will see that anything can become gentle. If you are feeling tired, try to stop and observe what you are holding on to. Perhaps you are carrying too much. Perhaps you are racing after what others deem important. Perhaps you are trading peace for something that ultimately brings no real happiness. Ask yourself how many of your desires come from the heart, and how many are simply imposed on you by society. When you dare to ask, you will realize that what you truly need is not as much as you think. To learn how to live simply, we don't need to do anything grand. Just practice little by little. In the morning when you wake up, before picking up your phone, sit still and take a deep breath. Inhale, knowing you are inhaling. Exhale, knowing you are exhaling. Let your breath guide your mind back to the present. When your mind returns, everything else becomes clearer. During the day, try to choose one thing to let go of. It could be one less item you planned to buy, one less complaint, one less comparative thought. When you let go of one thing, you are adding space for peace to enter. If in the evening you feel heavy-hearted, try writing down 3 things you are grateful for. It could be a delicious meal, a kind word from someone, or simply being healthy enough to go to work. By focusing on the positive, you remind yourself that life is not as harsh as you think. A grateful mind is the foundation of simplicity, because a grateful person will not desire excessively. A grateful person will be content with what they have. Or you can practice a short meditation at the end of the day. Sit still and listen to each breath. Visualize in your mind that each time you exhale, you are letting go of something heavy. Each time you inhale, you are embracing tranquility. Let your mind become a flat lake. When the lake is still, you will see the sky reflected clearly. When your mind is still, you will see life brighten from the small things. We often think that people who live simply are those who don't need much. But in reality, they are the ones who understand best that happiness does not depend on material possessions, but on the state of the mind. When the mind is light, life naturally becomes light. When the mind is at peace, the environment naturally becomes peaceful. The simplicity that the Buddha taught is not about deprivation, but about clarity. Simplicity is seeing clearly what is worth keeping and what should be let go of. Simplicity is knowing what we truly need and what is temporary. Simplicity is choosing to live within one's means rather than chasing endless desires. I want to send you a gentle reminder. Don't worry if you don't know where to start. Just do one small thing to lighten your life, then one more thing, and one more. Then you will see your whole life transform. Remember that living simply does not make us poorer, but enriches our minds. Rich in peace, rich in love, rich in time for truly precious things. The Buddha taught that one who knows how to live simply is one who is on the right path to happiness. As long as you dare to take the first step, that path will open up. When life has exhausted us, when pressures weigh on our shoulders, making every step heavy, when in our hearts there is only one small question that aches as if the whole sky has fallen. Why is life so hard? That is when we need a reminder to return to our breath and look deeper into the path we are walking. Many of us are going through challenging times. Some are striving for their parents. Some are struggling for their children's future. And some are just trying to find a small place in life, but face too many stumbles. Fatigue increases day by day, and sometimes makes us want to give up everything. However, in that moment, if we pause for a while, we will hear the ancient teachings of the Buddha, like a key opening a different perspective. The Buddha taught that life is impermanent, but suffering is not meant to destroy us. Suffering is meant to temper us into better versions of ourselves that we never even imagined. All of us wish to live a peaceful life without stumbling, without harm. But the truth is, no one gets rich overnight, and no one can achieve success without going through heartbreakingly difficult days. To achieve stability later, we must accept hardship now. To be at ease in the future, we must accept walking through storms in the present. This is not a demand or a requirement, but a natural law of operation. Like planting a seed, we cannot sow it today and expect a large, shady tree tomorrow. The tree must endure scorching sun, prolonged rain, and barren soil. Then one day, it will have enough strength to reach for the light. Every human being is the same. We cannot escape the period of effort, endurance, and sacrifice. Some suffer for their studies. Some suffer for their livelihood. Some suffer from emotional wounds. Whatever the form of suffering, if we know how to see its true nature, we will understand that suffering is paving the way for us to go further. Today's hard work is to reserve a beautiful tomorrow for us. Today's busyness is so that later we can be at ease without worrying about every meal. Life takes nothing from us when we are trying. It is only testing whether we have enough perseverance to receive something better. One of the truths we often forget is that each person blossoms at a different time. When we look around, it's easy to compare ourselves with friends. Some have settled down, some have succeeded, some have built the career we always dreamed of. That disparity makes our hearts sink. But if we delve into reality, we will see that each flower has its own season. Some flowers only bloom in March. Some have to wait until June. And some flowers need a whole year to have enough affinity to unfurl their petals. The important thing is not to bloom early or late, but whether we have enough patience to take care of ourselves. The Buddha taught that the growth of the mind cannot be rushed. It comes from the process of acceptance, transformation, and letting go of inner resistance. When we can endure suffering, we open our wisdom. When we can endure loss, we open our hearts. When we can endure loneliness, we unlock our inner strength. And it is that inner strength that will determine our stability in the future. There is an ordinary story, but it carries a great meaning. It is the story of Mai, a university student's sleepless nights. Mai was a girl from a poor rural area. Her parents were farmers, cultivating only a few plots of land year-round. Despite the difficulties, her family always encouraged Mai to study, hoping that one day she could stand on her own 2 feet. Mai went to the city for university with strong determination. But when she faced reality, she realized that life never goes according to expectations. Expensive tuition, high living costs, and many unexpected pressures forced Mai to both study and work part-time to make ends meet. There were days Mai walked almost 4 kilometers to save bus fare. There were days she rushed to group study sessions right after finishing her late-night shift. With her eyes tired from lack of sleep, her classmates had time to go out, had money for bubble tea, had evenings free to watch movies, while Mai sat with thick stacks of documents, unable to get any sleep. Many times, the instant noodles in front of her had long since gone cold. She held her chopsticks with a heavy heart. Sometimes she wanted to burst into tears from exhaustion. Mai asked herself why her life was so difficult. Why did she have to bear so many burdens? Why did her efforts seem to have no end? One evening, she was so tired that her eyes blurred, and the words in front of her became meaningless. Mai thought about giving up, not because she was lazy, but because she was too exhausted. However, in that very moment, she remembered her parents' faces, remembered the image of her elderly parents stooping to plant each rice seedling. She remembered her promise to herself that she would definitely escape poverty. Mai closed her eyes, took a deep breath to regain her composure, and whispered to herself, "Just a little more effort." And so, Mai's sleepless nights continued. Exam season came, and she studied day and night. Sometimes, she fell asleep at her desk, waking up with the imprint of a book on her cheek. Her friends sometimes asked Mai if she felt miserable. Mai just smiled, not because she didn't feel miserable, but because she knew that if she didn't endure hardship now, her future would have no light at all. Then 3 years passed. While many friends had accepted ordinary jobs to ease their burdens, Mai continued to apply for overseas scholarships. She thought that if she had tried so hard, she couldn't stop halfway. And like a gift for someone who knows how to persevere, Mai received a full scholarship, not because of luck, but because of those sleepless nights, because of her sweat, and because of all the moments she clenched her teeth to overcome challenges. 3 more years later, Mai returned with an excellent degree and immediately got a good job. On the day she stood on stage to receive her diploma, Mai looked down at her hands that had once trembled from fatigue, calloused from part-time work, and shook from pressures that seemed unbearable. In those moments, there was only a proud smile on her lips. she spoke one very gentle sentence, but it was enough for us to understand all her years. It turns out that the suffering of those days was the luggage for today. Mai's story is like the story of many of us. Sometimes we have to lose beautiful evenings, lose youthful pleasures, lose comfort to gain a stable future. Life never takes anything from us when we are trying. It is only testing whether we have enough patience to continue. And when we overcome, it will return to us something much more worthy. The Buddha taught that all suffering has causes and conditions. Suffering is not to make us fall, but to teach us how to get up. Suffering is not to weaken us, but to make us more resilient. We hurt because we are growing. We are tired because we are moving forward. We are disappointed because we place expectations on ourselves. All these things are proof that we are transforming every day. If today you feel helpless, remember that within that helplessness lies a strength you haven't yet seen. Each time you continue, no matter how tired, you are nurturing your inner strength. We should not fear suffering. The greatest fear is not knowing what we are living for. The greatest fear is standing still when our hearts want to move forward. The greatest fear is giving up because of a few temporary difficulties, and then having to live a lifetime in regret. It's better to suffer for a while, for a lifetime of happiness, than to be happy for a few minutes, and then suffer for a long journey. Remember that a seed must crack its shell to sprout. Humans must go through challenges to achieve their full potential. If you are currently in your most exhausting phase, pause for a moment to practice healing. Place both hands on your chest and close your eyes. Take a deep breath to feel the cool, fresh air entering your body. Exhale slowly to release the pressures that are constricting your heart. Imagine each inhale is a warm light spreading within you, and each exhale is all worry and heaviness leaving your mind. Let your breath become your refuge when life is too noisy. After a few minutes, you can write down 3 things you are grateful for about yourself. Not grand things, but just small things today. Perhaps you woke up on time. Perhaps you finished a task you had been procrastinating on. Perhaps you didn't get angry when someone upset you. Each time you write it down, you are nurturing a positive mindset within yourself. A grateful mind is a remedy for all suffering. When we are grateful for what we have, we will see that what we are enduring is just a natural process of growth. Forgive yourself if you are tired. It's okay to feel weak. It's okay to want to cry. It's okay to go slower than others. The important thing is that you don't stop. When you forgive yourself, you will find your heart more open, lighter, and more resilient. Forgiveness is not forgetting all pain, but learning to look at it with a peaceful mind. The Buddha taught that suffering is also a teacher. The difference is that this teacher doesn't use words, but uses experience to make us understand the lesson. When you open your eyes after a few minutes of practice, look at life from a different perspective. Don't feel despair when you suffer. Instead, realize that suffering means you are on the right path. Don't feel discouraged when you are tired. Instead, realize that tiredness means you are crossing an old boundary. Don't feel sad and lonely when you are alone. Instead, realize that loneliness is a golden time for self-development. Remember that your present is creating your future. You have the right to choose. Either endure hardship for a while, for a lifetime of happiness, or avoid hardship, and then face more severe consequences later. I want to remind you of something gentle, but full of hope. No effort is meaningless. No sacrifice is wasted. No drop of sweat falls without bringing results. If life is challenging you, it means it believes you have the strength to overcome it. You just need to take slow, steady steps, and each step with your whole heart. Then, one day, you will stand where you want to be and smile, as if to say, it turns out those difficult days were life's greatest gift. When life becomes overwhelming, when invisible burdens make our minds feel constantly tied to a tense string, almost to the point of breaking, when everyone around us thinks we are fine, but in our hearts are so many unspoken things, that is when we need to stop and look at ourselves. There are days when we feel we have tried to the point of exhaustion, yet still find no peace. Sometimes we just wish we could take one long, deep breath and think of nothing else. In such moments, the Buddha's teachings are like a lamp lit in the dark night. Its light is not dazzling. It is gentle, but enough to help us see the path ahead. The Buddha taught that if you want to live peacefully, your mind must be light. If you want your mind to be light, you must know how to let go of the things that weigh your heart down. There are 5 don'ts that if we remember and live by, life will be much more serene. These 5 don'ts are not prohibitions, not coercion, but instructions to prevent us from causing ourselves suffering. They are: do not harbor hatred, do not hold on to anger, do not abandon sincere love, do not wait when you have blessings, and do not be stingy when you have money. When we are tired, these 5 don'ts are like a hot cup of tea placed before us on a cold winter day. We pick it up and sip, each word entering our hearts slowly and gently. And then we begin to see a different perspective, a different way of breathing, a different path. First is the don't related to hatred. The Buddha taught that hatred is the greatest burden in human life. Many people think that if they don't remember the hurt, they will be weak. But the truth is the opposite. When we harbor hatred in our hearts, we are the first to suffer, not the other person, not the one who hurt us. Our mind is like a jar of water. If we pour hatred into it, we are the ones who must carry that jar every day. It makes our backs tired. It weighs down our minds. It drains all joy from life. Forgiveness is not for the other person's peace. Forgiveness is for our hearts to rest. Next is the don't related to anger. Anger is one of the most destructive emotions to the inner self. Each time we get angry, we are like holding a hot coal, intending to throw it at someone else. But that hot coal will burn our own hands before it falls into anyone else's heart. Many people realize this too late. They hold on to anger day after day. They let it gnaw at their emotions. When they look back, they realize they have lost too much just because of things that could have been let go of long ago. Anger is never strength. Anger is only the mind's weakness when we lack the wisdom to remain calm. The third don't is related to love. Not romantic love, but love in the broad sense. Love for family, love for those who care for us, love for those willing to accompany us. Sometimes, out of resentment, we abandon those who truly care for us. Sometimes, due to busyness, we neglect those who deserve to be cherished. Having good people by our side is a rare blessing. A person who cares, shares, and holds us in their heart is a priceless asset. If we have that in life, never let it go. The fourth don't is related to blessings. When you have blessings, don't wait. Many people have good fortune, but don't appreciate it, have health, but don't maintain it, have opportunities, but don't seize them. They think there's always tomorrow. They think good things will last forever. But life is impermanent. No one knows what will come. Being alive is a blessing. Having food to eat is a blessing. Having someone to love is a great blessing. When you have blessings, live them fully. Don't postpone joy. Don't wait for happiness to come at the right time, because the most beautiful time for happiness is the present. And the last don't is related to money. When you have money, don't be stingy. Money is not bad, but if we hoard money without knowing how to use it to help others, to sow good karma, to create benefit for life, then money becomes a binding rope. Money is only valuable when used in the right place, shared with the right people, and used to create value. What can we take with us when we close our eyes and pass away? Only good deeds follow us to the next life. Those who know how to give are never poor. Those who know how to help others are never miserable. When we open our hearts, money will naturally find its way, like water flowing to lower ground. To better understand the meaning of these 5 don'ts, let's listen to the story of a seasoned man, the story of Mr. Ba and his old chest. Mr. Ba is 70 years old this year. All his life, he was a steadfast but rigid man. He kept many things in his heart: old resentments, old sorrows, words that hurt him once, and he let them hurt him for a lifetime. He had an old chest kept in the corner of his house. No one in the family knew what was inside, but every time something in his life bothered him, he would open the chest and look at the objects he had stored for many years. Inside the chest were not gold or important documents, but letters he had received, which he used to remember who had said things that hurt him. There were also pictures of people he had been angry with, resented, and wanted to forget, but deliberately didn't. These seemingly inanimate objects held a part of his soul. Every time he looked at them, he reminded himself how he had been hurt. And then he continued to live in his old anger. One day, Mr. Ba fell seriously ill. His body no longer had the strength to resist. The doctor said that his illness could persist if his mind was still filled with worries. In his delirium, he reviewed his life. He realized that the more he clung to old things, the more his heart ached. He realized that the longer he kept that chest, the more the illness in his mind spread. He did not want to live his last years in such heaviness. So, when he regained consciousness, he called his children and grandchildren and said he wanted to clear out the chest. When he opened the chest, he looked at each item, his eyes reddening, not from anger, but from regret. Regret that he had spent his whole life holding on to things not worth keeping. Regret that he had allowed his mind to be imprisoned by things that should have been let go of long ago. Finally, he decided to take everything out to the backyard. He gathered them into a small pile. He lit a fire. The flames surged, each letter turning to ash, each picture turning to smoke. He stood watching. The wind blew gently. Smoke rose into the sky. His eyes were moist, but his heart felt light like a falling leaf. From that day on, Mr. Ba lived a completely different life. He no longer snapped at his children and grandchildren, no longer brought up old stories, no longer asked accusatory questions. He lived slower, gentler. On days when the house was full of people, he would sit and watch his children and grandchildren chattering, smiling a gentle smile. He said, "Life is not long enough to hold on to anger and resentment. Let go of hatred, and your heart becomes light. Let go of anger, and your mind finds peace. Keep good people by your side, and life becomes less lonely. Cherish present blessings, and every day is beautiful, and know how to share, and blessings come daily." Mr. Ba's story is not just the story of an old man, but a lesson for all of us. Because in each person, there is an old chest, a chest containing things that make us proud. Some store hatred in that chest. Some store anger. Some store unfinished relationships. Some store missed opportunities. Some even store greed, which weighs down their hearts. The more we hold on to, the fuller the chest becomes, the more tired the heart. Only when we know how to open that chest and let go can we truly live. To help our minds feel lighter, let's practice healing a little together. Now, place your hands on your chest, close your eyes, take a deep breath, hold your breath gently for 1 beat, then exhale slowly. Each inhale is a ray of light entering your mind. That ray of light helps you clearly see the things that are hurting you. Each exhale is a moment you let go of things that are no longer needed. You are not just breathing, you are healing. Think about something you are holding on to in your heart. A word, an action, a person who made you sad. Let that image appear gently, without resistance, without opposition. Just look at it like a cloud drifting across the sky. Then quietly say to yourself, "I allow myself to be at peace. I allow myself to let this go. I choose to live lightly." Next, think about a person who is by your side. Someone who, even if they sometimes annoy you, is always present when you need them. Send that person a silent thank you in your mind. You don't need to say it aloud, just feel it. Because gratitude always creates a healing energy that makes the heart blossom. Finally, think about the things you have: health, a job, a home, a meal, a morning when you can still open your eyes. All are blessings. When we are grateful for our blessings, we will receive more blessings. When you open your eyes, return to life with a lighter heart. Do not remember what hurts you. Do not hold on to anger in your heart. Do not abandon those who are sincere with you. Do not wait when you have blessings, and do not be stingy when you have the means to help others. I want to send you a reminder that the strength of a human life lies within their own mind. When the mind is light, life is peaceful. When the mind is open, blessings come. When the mind knows how to let go, happiness blossoms. When you know how to live by these whisker don'ts, life will not only change, but also become clearer. And you will see that peace and joy do not lie in circumstances, but in how we nurture our hearts every day. When life becomes tiresome and heavy, people often think they lack luck, blessings, opportunities, and the good things others have. We look around and see others having an easier, lighter, more prosperous life, then ask ourselves why our lives are so burdened. In such moments, our minds feel pulled down, like a lake surface stirred by the wind, creating ripples that disturb inner peace. And precisely then, the Buddha's teachings become a key, opening up a different perspective. The Buddha taught that blessings, phuoc, do not come naturally, nor do they disappear naturally. Blessings come from the virtuous deeds we sow in every thought, every word, every action. But there are small behaviors we unconsciously repeat every day that harm our own merit. Blessings are hard to create, but very easy to diminish. Just like water in a clear glass can become cloudy with just a pinch of dust. The human mind is similar. Just a few bad habits are enough to tarnish the purity within. When we understand that the good things in life come not only from effort, but also from blessings, we will cherish every good action, every good thought, and every good word. And we will also be more careful with habits that can deplete our blessings, little by little. In this section, we will review 6 behaviors that the Buddha taught can quickly deplete merit. Not to blame ourselves or life, but to recognize the path that helps us live more lightly, more peacefully, and free from the things that make life tiresome. The first thing that diminishes blessings is involuntary giving. Many people think that giving automatically brings blessings, but the Buddha taught that blessings come from the heart. When we give reluctantly, when we help others only out of fear of judgment, when we do good deeds with discomfort in our hearts, that action does not create blessings. Instead, it weighs down the mind. Because we have sown the seeds of coercion and annoyance within ourselves. Giving without compassion is like a beautiful flower without fragrance. It may appear kind on the outside, but it does not bring true inner peace. When our hearts are not willing, the act of giving becomes a burden. Giving while filled with questions, hesitation, and calculations means our hearts are closed, not open. The Buddha taught that giving is opening the heart, not just the hand. And when our hearts are open, blessings will flow in. When our hearts are closed, blessings cannot come. From this, we understand that blessings arise not from the quantity we give, but from the quality of the mind when we give. The second thing that depletes blessings much faster than many people realize is the habit of complaining, grumbling, and gossiping. Complaints, seemingly harmless, have great power in weighing down our minds and poisoning the energy around us. People who often complain usually live with a sense of lack. They don't see what they have, only what they don't have enough of. They don't see gratitude, only deficiency. When the mouth speaks negative words, the mind also becomes negative. When the mind is negative, blessings move further away. The Buddha taught that verbal karma is easy to create, but difficult to mend. A word creates energy, and that energy returns to the speaker. When we constantly complain, we are sowing dark clouds in our minds, making life gloomier day by day. The third thing is killing, which many people disregard, but is one of the most powerful actions that deplete merit. The Buddha taught that all lives are equally precious. A life taken will leave karma for the one who caused it. This is not to threaten, but to remind us that every action has its impact. When we sow harm, we can hardly reap peace. When we hurt sentient beings, our minds can hardly be tranquil. It is no coincidence that kind-hearted people who avoid killing often live more peaceful lives, experiencing fewer troubles, because the energy of compassion always carries blessings. The fourth thing is the habit of boasting and arrogance. When we think we are better than others, our blessings immediately diminish, because blessings are like water in a glass, and arrogance is like tilting the glass, causing the water to spill out. A truly blessed person is always humble and gentle. The more they have, the more they conceal it. The more they know, the more silent they become. The more skilled they are, the more they learn to bow their heads. An arrogant person is like a fire that burns too brightly, flares up for a moment, and then quickly dies out. The Buddha taught that arrogance hinders blessings from entering life. When we boast, the first thing we lose is kindness and the goodwill of others. The second thing we lose is our own mindfulness. The more arrogant a person is, the less they listen. The less they listen, the harder it is to correct themselves. The fifth thing that heavily depletes blessings is filial impiety. The Buddha taught that filial piety ranks first among all meritorious deeds. Filial impiety diminishes merit faster than anything else. Parents are the blessings of a person's life. When we don't appreciate that blessing, we harm our own merit. When our words make our parents sad, when our attitude grieves those who gave us birth, our minds cannot be at peace. Life is difficult to be smooth, and good fortune easily departs. It's not because of punishment, but because the energy of filial impiety is a very heavy energy, attracting undesirable things. Filial people often meet noble benefactors, while unfilial people often find their lives stuck in dead ends. This is the law of cause and effect. The sixth thing that silently depletes blessings is greed and sexual misconduct. When the mind's desires exceed limits, when we live according to our cravings without knowing when to stop, when we let desires guide our actions, the mind becomes agitated and restless. Desire is like a rushing stream. Whoever chases it will be swept away. A person with a greedy mind often finds it difficult to maintain morality, easily loses their good values, and easily hurts others. When we sow harm in the hearts of others, our merit also withers away. The Buddha taught that maintaining a pure mind is not about abandoning all desires, but about knowing when to stop at what is right. Knowing what should not be done means absolutely not doing it. When the heart is pure, blessings naturally come. To understand more clearly how the depletion of merit occurs, let's look at the story of Mr. Kwan, a man who carried the habit of complaining every day. Mr. Kwan, 32 years old, lived in a family that was not too rich, but not too poor. He had a stable job, enough to live on, and a relatively peaceful family life. Yet, his mind was always heavy. He sighed as soon as he woke up. At work, he criticized his boss. After work, he complained about colleagues. At home, he grumbled that his wife and children didn't understand him. He compared himself to others and felt everyone else was happier, luckier. Not a day went by without his complaining words. His family grew tired of hearing it, and outsiders were fed up after one listen. His life became gloomy because of the very words he spoke. His work began to suffer. Colleagues avoided him because they didn't want to be dragged into negative energy. His superiors were dissatisfied with his unenthusiastic attitude. And his family also became more strained. His wife was exhausted by his endless complaints. His children were afraid whenever he frowned. One day, his mother looked at him for a long time and said, "Son, if you sow bad words, how can you expect blessings to come?" That sentence silenced him. For the first time, he realized that the problem was not with life, but with his own words and habits. He began to practice stopping his complaints. When he wanted to grumble, he paused for a few seconds. When he was about to compare himself to others, he took a deep breath. When he felt annoyed, he tried to find the bright side of the situation. He changed little by little. Then one day, he realized that the outside world hadn't changed, but his mind had. When the mind changes, the environment changes. His work became smoother, colleagues were happier, and his family was more harmonious. He felt his heart lighten, like someone who had just shed a heavy bag of rocks he had carried for too long. And he understood that blessings are hard to create, but very easy to lose, just because of seemingly small, but not small, bad habits. The Buddha taught that every word is a seed, every thought is a seed, every action is a seed. What you sow, you shall reap. If you sow good, you receive peace. If you sow bad, you receive unease. When we understand this, we will know how to adjust ourselves every day, not to become perfect, but to make our lives less heavy, our minds less tired, and our blessings less depleted. In this moment, I invite you to practice slow breathing. Place your hand on your chest and feel your heart beating. Inhale deeply, knowing that you are alive. Exhale gently, knowing that you can let go of what is weighing you down. Inhale once more and send into your mind a vow that from today you will know how to keep kind words. Exhale once more and send into the universe a prayer for your own peace. When the breath slows down, the mind will also slow down. When the mind slows down, the worries in your heart will dissipate like morning mist meeting the sun. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine that before you is a tranquil lake, its surface as still as your mind, when there are no longer complaints, no more grumbling, no more habits that deplete blessings. Look at that lake and see your reflection in it, a more peaceful, lighter, and brighter version of yourself. Then tell yourself that you can become that person if you change each small thing. In daily life, no big changes are needed. Just practice speaking kind words. Practice thinking good thoughts. Practice avoiding killing. Practice living humbly. Practice loving your parents. And practice controlling your desires, little by little, day by day. Blessings will return like rays of sunlight shining on the lake, making the water glow. I want to send you a hopeful reminder that one who knows how to preserve blessings will never lack them. One who knows how to sow good will never lack peace. One who knows how to correct even the smallest mistakes will see their life change in a very miraculous way. Remember that blessings are hard to create, but easy to lose. But if you preserve them, life will be light as a cloud. If you nurture your mind, it will be bright as the moon. If you protect your life, it will naturally be joyful. When we walk the right path, blessings will follow us. When we walk the wrong path, blessings will leave us. And the right path is not far away. It lies in every small thing we do each day. And as you listen to this, you surely already have a seed of awakening within you. From that seed, the heart can blossom. When life becomes overly burdensome, when pressures tighten around our hearts, making each sigh follow. Another day after day, many of us begin to ask ourselves why we always feel so heavy. We try so hard, but joy rarely comes. We care about everyone, but feel lonely in our own thoughts. And we continue with depleted energy, unaware that sometimes just one right piece of guidance can change the course of an entire life. In those vague moments, the Buddha's teachings are like a key opening another door. A door that leads inward. A door that helps the heart breathe. A door that reminds everyone that it is not the world that is too harsh, but our minds that are too full. Today, let's explore 7 simple teachings that can transform life if understood and applied. These 7 teachings are like 7 small lights. When placed together, they illuminate an entire sky of peace. The first teaching says that hatred cannot be resolved by hatred. Only love can resolve it. This is not just a philosophy, but also a law of how the mind operates. When we resent someone, what we hold in our hearts is not that person, but a fire burning ourselves. Hatred makes the body tired, disorders the mind, and disturbs sleep. Many people suffer not because of what happened, but because they keep holding on to it. When we respond to hurt with hurt, we only prolong suffering. When we respond to anger with anger, we only make things that are already complicated even more so. The Buddha taught that only love can end that cycle. It is not weakness, but maturity. Not for others to win, but for our minds not to lose to ourselves. In life, we see this very clearly. A family can have conflicts over a small remark. But if everyone wants to win, no one truly wins. Only when one person is willing to step back with compassion and understanding can all tensions come to a halt. When hearing this teaching, many people say, "How can I love when I'm being hurt?" But we don't love that person. We love our own hearts first. When our minds are light, the world will be light. When our minds are expansive, people will be less adversarial. This is the foundation of resolution. The second teaching says that what we think makes us who we are. The mind is the root of all actions. The mind is like a sculptor, and life is the product created from those shapes. If the mind always thinks negatively, life will become a dark canvas. If the mind always thinks bad things, anything that happens will be interpreted in a gloomy way. When we think we are weak, we become weak. When we think we are unhappy, everything leads to unhappiness. But when we begin to think with kindness, faith, and clarity, even difficult events become lessons that help us grow. It is not circumstances that determine a person's life, but the repetitive stream of thoughts in the mind each day. This teaching is especially important in today's high-pressure society. Many people wake up with heavy hearts and go to sleep with anxiety. Many people, after experiencing just a small setback, immediately think that everything is terrible. But if you change one small thought, your whole day will change. If you start with a kind thought, your whole life will shift in a new direction. The mind creates everything, and the mind can also dismantle everything. This is a power everyone possesses, but few know how to use it. The third teaching says that words can kill or save. In life, a thoughtless remark can make someone sad for years. A word of blame can make someone lose faith in themselves. An insult can destroy an entire relationship. But sometimes, just a gentle word of encouragement can lift the spirits of someone in despair. A timely compliment can make someone's heart blossom again. A sincere word can resolve years of misunderstanding. Words are energy. Depending on what we sow, they become a sharp knife or cool water. The Buddha taught that if we know how to speak kind words, our blessings will increase. If we speak harsh words, we will bear the consequences ourselves. Because the consequence of words is the peace or unease within the speaker's heart. When we are tired, we tend to say things that hurt our loved ones the most. When we are stressed, we tend to vent our anger on those who are not at fault. And when we lose patience, words become a knife. In those moments, if we know how to stop, how to breathe, how to look deeply, how to ask ourselves what energy our next words carry, we will avoid a lot of suffering. Words can kill or save not only others, but also ourselves. The fourth teaching is to give, is to keep forever. It sounds paradoxical, but it is true. When we hold on too tightly, our hands get tired. When we try to grasp everything for ourselves, our minds get weary. But when we know how to give, to open our hearts, to share, what we receive in return is always more. Not material possessions, but joy, lightness, and serenity. When we give a smile, we receive a warm feeling in our hearts. When we offer help, we receive generosity in our minds. When we give a blessing, we receive good energy in our own lives. Those who know how to give are usually not poor. They become rich, not because of money, but because of blessings. And blessings are the foundation of happiness. The fifth teaching is that no one can help us but ourselves. In life, people can love us, can show us the way, can give us advice. But no one can live this life for us. No one can suffer for us. No one can learn for us. No one can breathe for us. When we want to stand up, we must stand up ourselves. When we want to move forward, we must move forward ourselves. Our own hands must wipe our own tears. This is not a dry teaching, but a teaching that helps us become strong. When we understand this, we no longer rely on anyone else, but become our own guide. The sixth teaching says that happiness comes from within. We often seek happiness externally. We place expectations on others. We wait for better circumstances. We think that when we have money, we will be happy. When we have someone to love, we will be happy. When work is smooth, we will be at peace. But the external world is always changing. If we place happiness in things that change, happiness will be fragile. Only when we know how to cultivate inner peace, appreciate every breath, be grateful for every small thing, and return to ourselves, will happiness truly be sustainable. The Buddha taught that the safest refuge is one's own mind. Happiness is not about seeking, but about returning. The seventh teaching is, letting go is freedom. Many people are tired, not because of external burdens, but because they cling too tightly to things. They hold on to anger, hold on to sadness, hold on to old failures, hold on to words that hurt them, hold on to things that should have passed. When we hold on, we are heavy. When we let go, the mind immediately becomes light. Letting go here is not abandoning responsibility, but releasing what does not belong to us. When we let go of someone who doesn't love us, we return to ourselves. When we let go of unreasonable desires, we find serenity. When we let go of negative thoughts, the mind immediately brightens. Letting go is the key that opens the door to freedom. After going through these 7 teachings, everyone can feel that each word, though simple, has great power. If practiced a little each day, our minds will change. And when the mind changes, life transforms. To help everyone truly understand more deeply, let's practice a short meditation together. You can sit where you are, relax your shoulders, gently place your hands on your knees, close your eyes, inhale deeply through your nose, feeling the cool air enter your chest. Exhale slowly through your mouth. As you exhale, let all worries leave your body with that breath. Repeat a few breaths like this, then gently bring your mind back to one of the 7 teachings that moved you the most. Hold that teaching in your mind like holding a small candle. The longer you hold it, the stronger the light. This is how transformation happens. I want to remind everyone that the 7 teachings of the Buddha are not just to be heard, but to be lived with. Live in every kind thought. Live in every gentle word. Live in every act of giving. Live in every breath that returns. Remember that human life is not long, and peace is the most precious gift. We can give ourselves one teaching that, if practiced, can change a day. 7 teachings, if deeply absorbed, can change an entire life. Don't worry when the path is too dark. Just keep a light in your heart, and darkness will no longer be something to fear. Let the Buddha's words guide you through the tiring day and back to the inherent peace within your mind. When life becomes too exhausting, when our minds are swayed by the winds of life, when everything we rely on suddenly becomes fragile, people often seek something to cling to. Some seek friends, some seek religion, some seek something invisible to find comfort in helplessness. And it is precisely then that trust becomes something very easily stolen. Many people are so tired that they trust anyone they meet. Many people are so afraid that they believe any words that seem to offer them a little hope. But the Buddha taught that trust must always go with wisdom. Without wisdom, trust becomes blind. Without wisdom, trust can lead us far from the path of peace. Today, we will explore an important teaching of the Buddha, a teaching that seems simple, but can save a person's life if understood correctly. The Buddha said that trust must go hand in hand with wisdom. Trusting the wrong person brings suffering. Trusting the wrong path leads to error. Trusting without consideration leads us to lose ourselves. And trusting with a panicked mind only leads to steps into darkness. There have been times when you were like this, tired, confused, helpless, not knowing where to turn. who to ask, what to cling to for a point of support for tomorrow. When people fall into that state, the mind becomes soft, like earth after rain. Anyone who touches it leaves a mark. Any word spoken can easily sway their trust. And it is then that many people choose the wrong trust, choose the wrong path, choose the wrong person to place their hopes in, all because the mind is too tired. The story of Ms. Ha is such an example, a painful lesson, but very real, very human, and also proof that blind trust can plunge a person into deep trouble in a very short time. Ms. Ha was 38 years old then, living with her husband and 2 children. Life was not overly wealthy, but comfortable. It's just that recently she encountered many unsettling events. Her husband's job was unstable. Her young children were constantly sick. Her mother-in-law was ill. Bills, debts. One mishap followed another, making her mind feel like it was carrying a heavy stone. At night, she couldn't sleep. In the morning, she felt cold and tired. Her anxiety was so intense that sometimes she felt like the whole world was against her. She went to the temple but found no peace. She read scriptures but couldn't understand the deep meaning. She chanted, but her heart trembled with fear. And then, in that state of turmoil, she sought out a fortune teller on a friend's recommendation. Just one visit to that fortune teller, and her life took a different turn. The fortune teller spoke words that terrified her. He said that her family was facing severe misfortune, that there were spirits following them, that her husband was about to have an accident, that her children were being disturbed by unseen entities, and that if she didn't perform a large ritual, the family would face great disaster. When she heard those words, her mind shattered like glass. She believed him. She believed him completely because her mind was too tired. That fatigue caused her wisdom to gradually fade, and her worries made her unable to distinguish truth from falsehood. And the fortune teller was like someone sowing seeds of fear into the cracked earth of her mind. He told her to prepare a large sum of money, to sell her gold, sell her house, sell anything to perform the ritual, to ward off the bad luck. That amount of money was equal to all the family's savings accumulated over many years. She went home and began to convince her husband. Her husband objected, but she insisted that she saw this and that sign. She said that her son's constant coughing was due to karmic ties. She said that she heard strange noises in the house at night. All these came from her panicked mind and the words that sowed fear. Then she did something she would regret for the rest of her life. She sold the house they lived in. She used the money to set up the ritual altar. The ritual lasted for many days, and in the end, everything exhausted her family. Money lost, house lost, husband and wife in conflict, children unsettled. Her mind felt like it had fallen into an even deeper abyss. She felt she had been deceived, but didn't dare to admit it, because admitting it meant accepting that she had ruined her family. Then, one day, when she no longer knew what to cling to, she walked into the temple near her home. She told a monk everything. She recounted her story while crying, and the monk just sat quietly and listened. After she finished crying, the monk spoke a calm but clear sentence, a sentence that she later said was the only thing that pulled her mind back. The monk said, "You can trust anyone, but first, you must trust your own wisdom. Trusting without understanding is blind trust. Trusting without using wisdom to examine is leading yourself to suffering. People sometimes exploit the trust of anxious souls for their own gain. But Buddhism always teaches that trust must go with understanding. Trust must illuminate us. Trust must make us live more virtuously. Trust must lead us to peace. True trust never takes anything from anyone. Correct trust always restores our strength." Ms. Ha sat silently after hearing that sentence, tears falling. But this time, not from fear, but from awakening. She realized that for years she had sought luck. She had relied on external things. She had chased after baseless promises. She had used her own confusion to put the power to decide her life into the hands of others. And that is what made her lose everything. From that day on, she started over. She went to the temple to listen to lectures every week. She read scriptures and asked the monk every difficult question. She understood that trust must be based on cause and effect, not on threats. She understood that blessings or misfortunes are created by her own way of living and thinking. She understood that warding off misfortune is not by grand rituals, but by mending the mind. She understood that no one can do her karma for her. And she understood that peace is not external, but internal. Her life slowly changed. She went back to work. She began to live more mindfully. She taught her children about cause and effect. She no longer went to fortune tellers. She didn't believe in unfounded prophecies. She believed in wisdom and in goodness. And then her family gradually returned to peace. That story clearly shows us what wise trust is. True trust is not based on panic. Wise trust does not force us to depend on anyone. It does not make us use our assets. It does not make us lose sleep. It does not make us judge. Correct trust helps us live virtuously, helps us stay calm in the face of all events, helps us smile, even when life is sometimes harsh. The Buddha taught that trust must be based on understanding. Trust must be based on cause and effect. Trust must be based on self-observation. Correct trust is trusting in one's own ability to change. Trusting that doing good will create good results. Trusting in mindfulness. Trusting in teachings that have the power to free us from suffering rather than making us more afraid. Misguided trust is based on 3 factors: fear, desire for easy solutions, and the psychology of wanting to avoid cause and effect. When the mind wants to find a shortcut to escape suffering, we easily fall into the hands of insincere people. When the mind wants someone else to take on our responsibilities, we are easily swayed when the mind is weak and tired. We easily believe in unreal things. Then we ask why life becomes harder the more we trust. But it's not because of trusting, but because of trusting wrongly. When we understand this clearly, we will know how to build a stronger trust, a trust based on wisdom. Wisdom helps us distinguish right from wrong. Wisdom helps us observe. Wisdom helps us verify for ourselves. And wisdom makes us no longer easily deceived by things that appear mystical, but bring no real benefit. Many people ask why their minds feel lighter when they listen to the monks' lectures at the temple. It's because the teachings are based on the truth of life. No empty promises, no threats, no demands for money or grand rituals. Buddhism always teaches that practice is mending the mind. Practice is understanding cause and effect. Practice is looking back at oneself. The deeper one understands, the more correctly one trusts. The more correctly one trusts, the more peacefully one lives. Now, to heal the fear within each of us, to rebuild correct trust, try to pause for a moment. Take a very slow breath. Place your hand on your chest. Feel your heartbeat. Feel your breath going in and out. That is the most certain reality you have. As long as your breath is steady, you still have a chance to change. As long as your heart beats, you still have the ability to get up. No one can determine your life better than you. No one can carry your karma for you. But no one can take away your inner strength if you guard it with wisdom. In this moment, if you are hurting because you once trusted wrongly, lighten your heart. Everyone makes mistakes sometimes. Everyone gets tired sometimes, to the point of not thinking clearly. But from today, you can get up with understanding. You can move forward with wisdom. You can believe in the good within yourself. I want to send you a reminder, as gentle as the first breeze of the day. Trust can lift a person up, but it can also push that person into a deep abyss. What decides is not whether trust is strong or weak, but whether that trust has wisdom. The Buddha taught that wisdom is the lamp that illuminates the path. With wisdom, trust becomes strength. With wisdom, we will realize that peace always lies within the mind. Just by knowing how to return and look clearly, we will no longer be misguided. When life becomes too exhausting, we often withdraw and cling tightly to everything we have left. Fearing loss, fearing lack, fearing there won't be enough to live on tomorrow. We think that the more we hold, the safer we are. The more we accumulate, the more at peace we feel. But the tighter we hold, the heavier our hearts become. The more we cling, the narrower life feels. The more we fear losing, the poorer our minds become. Many of us don't realize that the weariness in life sometimes doesn't come from what we lack, but from a mind unwilling to let go. When the heart is too tight, blessings are hard to enter. When the door is too closed, light is hard to shine through. When life becomes heavy, sometimes what we need is not more possessions, but an open heart. The Buddha taught that giving is not losing, but sowing a seed in the field of our own blessings. That seed will sprout, grow, bloom, and bear fruit when we need it most. Many of us think that giving, bodhi, is for the rich. But actually, giving is not about money. Giving is about the heart. A person with a generous heart, even with only one bowl of rice, can share half. A person with a narrow heart, even with a full granary, feels a lack. We often forget that blessings are not in the amount of money we have. Blessings are in our willingness. Blessings are in a mind that thinks of others. Blessings are in the joy of seeing someone suffer less because of our own hands. The Buddha taught that those who give much receive great results. Those who share little receive small results, and those who do not give will have a poor and lacking future. The law of cause and effect is never wrong. Whatever seed our mind sows, our life reaps that fruit. A good seed, no matter how small, is never lost. It lies there silently, patiently waiting for its day to blossom. Each time we open our hearts, life opens a new path for us. Each time we help others, heaven and earth record more blessings for us. We often ask why some people's lives are always lucky. When they face hardship, someone helps. When they encounter difficulties, someone supports them. We call it fate. But in reality, it is blessings. And those blessings come from the times we thought of others. Blessings come from the times we put others' interests before our own. Blessings come from the moments we sowed good seeds that we ourselves don't even remember. On the other hand, the lives of those who do not give are often difficult, not because heaven is unfair, but because the door of their heart is too tightly closed. If the door is tight, light struggles to get in. If the hand is clenched, how can it receive more? Those who don't know how to give are unlikely to receive. Life is essentially a cycle of cause and effect. Give to receive to continue giving. The more one gives, the more heaven and earth cherish them. The more selfish one is, the more miserable life seems. Each of us has a garden of blessings in our hearts. Whatever we sow, that will bloom. Good seeds sprout flowers, bad seeds sprout thorns. If you want life to be less difficult, start sowing anew today. Now, let's take a moment to practice opening our hearts. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and exhale slowly. Feel your body relaxing. Feel your heart softening. Think about someone you can help today. It could be a relative, a stranger, someone suffering whom you know. Imagine giving them a gift. It doesn't have to be big. Just be sincere. Inhale deeply, exhale, and silently say to yourself, I sow a good seed today. I open my heart for blessings to blossom. When you open your eyes, you will feel a little lighter inside, because giving is the fastest way to heal the fatigue in your mind. When we give, we feel valuable. When we help others, we feel life has meaning, and meaning is the source of happiness. Remember that no matter how difficult our situation, we still have something to give. A blessing, a warm cup of tea, a hug, or a small gesture can also be a great karmic connection for someone. The Buddha taught that one who knows how to give is like one who possesses an inexhaustible treasure, because blessings follow us from this life to the next. Blessings protect us. Blessings support us. Blessings lead us out of adversity. When we fall, blessings lift us. When we are lost, blessings guide us. When we are in pain, blessings soothe us. View giving as insurance for the future. Ms. Bay didn't know that the 2 loaves of bread she gave away every day were the reason her bread cart was saved. We are the same. What we sow today, we reap tomorrow. When life is too tiring, remember the Buddha's words. One who knows how to share is blessed. One who knows how to open their heart is protected by heaven and earth. One who knows how to sow good seeds will see their life blossom at the right time. Don't worry about what you lose. Worry that you haven't given enough. Don't fear future scarcity. Fear that your heart lacks compassion. The lesson in this section is actually summarized in one simple sentence. Giving is sowing. Blessings are reaping. Giving is forever keeping. When life becomes heavy and material worries cast a dark shadow over our hearts, we often ask ourselves why some people get rich quickly, while others remain stuck in scarcity. Some, no matter how hard they try, don't get ahead, while others seem to do little, but their lives are abundant. These questions repeat in our minds, making many people weary. Some sigh and say, its fate. Some complain that life is unfair. Others think it's because God favors or disfavors them. And as weariness builds day by day, people easily become discouraged and lose hope. In such moments, the Buddha's teachings are like a door opening to a new perspective. The Buddha taught that wealth or poverty is not due to luck or chance. All is cause and effect, karma. One cannot be rich if they only know how to take. One cannot be poor if they regularly sow good deeds. And one cannot blame fate when we ourselves are the ones who sow the seeds for our lives. When we understand this, we begin to torment ourselves less, complain less, compare less. Because we understand that life is a garden, and every action we take is a seed. Sow good seeds, and good flowers will bloom. Sow bad seeds, and bad consequences will arise, sooner or later, if not in this life, then in another. Therefore, from the weariness of life, we can turn inward to look at ourselves and see that beneath those worries is a very important lesson. The lesson of cause, the lesson of effect, and the lesson of our attitude to life each day. When we talk about the cause and effect of wealth and poverty, we are not talking about something mystical. Buddhist teachings do not encourage superstition, nor do they accept unfounded prophecies. The Buddha taught that cause and effect is the simplest truth, yet the most misunderstood. Wealth is not due to begging. Poverty is not due to being abandoned. A truly wealthy person is one rich in blessings. A perpetually poor person is one who hasn't learned to sow blessings, or whose blessings are too meager. Whoever knows how to give, their life will be abundant. Whoever only knows how to hold on to things will often have an uneasy mind. When we live generously, the universe opens its doors. When we live selfishly, all doors gradually close. Each time we help someone, our minds become brighter. Each time we are cold, our minds darken. And it is this light or darkness in the mind that shapes each person's life. In a small, bustling neighborhood in the city, there lived two men with contrasting lives. People often called Mr. Tan Tu Ong, a term for a pimp, here implying a person who exploits others or is very controlling, but likely here meaning a wealthy, stingy person, often with negative connotations, because he was much wealthier than many others. His house was grand, and he had plenty of money, but his personality was very stingy. He never wanted to help anyone. People said that one day a neighbor in need came begging for some food to get by, but he stood inside his house, just opening the door a crack and shaking his head. Another time, neighborhood children accidentally scraped his car. He didn't ask what happened, but cursed them relentlessly. People looked at him and shook their heads. For someone rich without blessings, no one wanted to be close to him. In the same neighborhood, there was Mr. Han, a thin man who worked as a mason. His life was not prosperous, and his income was unstable. But he had a big heart. He often helped others, without complaining or demanding anything. If someone needed help moving things, he was ready. If anyone in the neighborhood needed help carrying something, he would come. Even though he was sometimes paid very little, he never complained. He said that people must love each other, and it's especially precious when the poor help the poor. One time, he found a wallet dropped in front of the market gate. Without much thought, he asked around everywhere to return it to its owner, who was moved because it contained money for medicine for a family member. People in the neighborhood said Mr. Han was poor, but rich in heart. And indeed, even though his life was lacking, he was always surrounded by people who loved him. Time passed, and one day, Mr. Than suddenly fell seriously ill. His children, because of his many assets, squabbled amongst themselves. Everyone competed, everyone wanted a bigger share. So no one took proper care of him. Every day, he lay in his sick room, looking around and seeing no family affection, only coldness and emptiness, only loneliness. A wealthy man like him thought money would protect him. But it turned out that when illness came, money was silent, and relatives became distant. His wealth could not wipe his sweat, nor could it help him breathe easily. And he began to understand that a lifetime of accumulating things without human connection ultimately led only to emptiness. No one can be indifferent to others and then expect to be loved when they are weak. Meanwhile, one day, Mr. Han suddenly caught a severe cold. The whole neighborhood heard the news and came running. Some cooked porridge, some brought medicine, some cleaned his house. Everyone cherished him like family, because his sincerity had been sown in everyone's hearts for many years. Without anyone telling them, the neighbors all came to care for him. They said that he had helped them a lot, so helping him now was natural. Human kindness came from his own good heart. And he understood that kindness was never a loss. Kindness was the most precious asset. Kindness ensured that a poor person was never lonely. When we look at these two lives, we clearly understand the Buddha's teaching on the cause and effect of wealth and poverty. The Buddha taught that wealth or poverty is not in the wallet, but in the mind and in the seeds we sow. A person rich in material possessions, but poor in human connection, is a person lacking blessings. A person poor in material possessions, but rich in a kind heart, is a person with great blessings. These blessings may not immediately manifest as money, but they manifest as love, support, and inner peace. When people take more than they give, they are poor. When people give more than they receive, they are rich. And the most important lesson is that wealth does not come from calculation. Wealth comes from how we live each day. Many people in modern life often feel tired from worrying about food and clothing. Sometimes they feel too insignificant. Sometimes they sigh that no matter how hard they try, things don't get better. But when we return to the Buddha's teachings, we will see that wealth and poverty do not operate according to our thinking. They operate according to cause and effect. And cause and effect, in turn, operate according to the mind. When the mind is good, good results come. When the mind is narrow, narrow results await. Therefore, from that weariness, we can open a new door, not by asking why someone else is richer than us, not by comparing ourselves only to blame ourselves, but by asking what we have sown, how we have lived. Have we created blessings? A person who knows how to share is creating blessings. A cold person is destroying blessings. A person with a compassionate heart is sowing good seeds. A jealous person is sowing seeds of suffering. When we help another person, even just a little, our minds become brighter. When we are selfish, our minds become heavier. Each time the mind brightens, wisdom opens. When wisdom opens, we have the opportunity to find new directions in life. That opportunity is a blessing. Kind people often meet good people. Selfish people often encounter adversity. All comes from cause and effect. Not by luck, not by chance. Some people ask why some are poor from birth. The Buddha taught that this is the result of many lifetimes. Some accumulated blessings in previous lives, so this life is abundant. Some lacked blessings in previous lives, so this life faces difficulties. But the important thing to remember is that cause and effect is not fixed. Being poor does not mean being poor forever. Being rich does not mean being rich forever. Everything can change when we know how to create new causes. A poor person who knows how to do good deeds, who knows how to give within their means, will see their blessings grow every day. A rich person who is selfish will see their blessings diminish. Cause and effect never discriminates against social class, never shows favoritism. As the cause, so the effect. We hold the key to our own lives. In our most tired moments, we often forget that every word, every action, every thought is coloring our destiny. When we help others, we are helping ourselves. When we give, we are opening the door for blessings to come. When we love others, we are sowing good seeds. And when our minds are good, life will be lighter. Not because life's path is easy, but because we have the strength to face difficulties calmly. Now you can try a small practice to heal your mind and nurture your seed of blessings. Sit up straight, relax your shoulders, gently close your eyes. Inhale deeply, exhale slowly. Feel your breath like a cool stream entering your body. Inhale to receive new energy. Exhale to release the heaviness you are holding in your heart. Then think of someone you can help. It could be a family member, a friend, a neighbor, or someone you met by chance on the street. Ask yourself, what good seed can I sow for them today? It could be a kind word, a smile, a moment of yielding, an act of forgiveness, a little sharing. These things are small, but are the seeds of blessings. When you open your heart, blessings will open their door. When you start with a good intention, good karma will follow you. In that moment, place your hand on your chest and feel your heartbeat. Your heartbeat is reminding you that you are alive. And while alive, we still have the ability to create blessings. We still have the opportunity to make this life better. We still have the power to change all karmic results with the causes we sow today. That is what keeps people from ever despairing. As I conclude this section, I want to remind you to never think you are poor when you still know how to love others. Never think you are rich when you only know how to keep for yourself. Wealth or poverty is due to blessings. Blessings come from the heart. When the heart is bright, life is bright. When the heart is narrow, life is dark. And cause and effect is always fair. Not a minute too slow, not an inch off. Live like Mr. Han in the story. A person who didn't have much money, but was rich in human kindness. Because human kindness is the asset that stays with us forever. While money only accompanies us for a distance and then stays behind. Remember that the cause and effect of wealth and poverty are not for punishment or reward. Cause and effect is merely a mirror to show us how to live correctly. When you understand that, you will feel your heart lighten. the weariness in your mind will dissipate, and a ray of hope will open in your heart. You will realize that this life is very fair when we know how to sow good seeds. No one takes away your blessings, nor does anyone sow karma for you. You are the one who creates your own future, and every day is an opportunity to make that future more beautiful. Walk through life with kindness. See every person you meet as an opportunity to sow blessings. See every situation you experience as a lesson for growth. When you live this way, life will open up like a flower gently blooming in the early morning breeze, and you will see that the cause and effect of wealth and poverty are not beyond your reach. They are in every action, in every thought, in every breath. As long as we know how to sow correctly, good results will eventually return to the one who sowed them. There are days when life becomes as heavy as a stone on our chest, making it hard to breathe. There are nights you can't sleep because your mind races back and forth between worry and fatigue. There are moments when everything seems to collapse, making your heart so tense you just want to give up. And sometimes you ask yourself what you need to do to lessen your suffering, reduce pressure, and ease the confusion amidst life's many demands. When the mind is pulled away by such sources of trouble, we easily forget one important thing. Peace is not far away. Peace is not found in the things we chase after, but right within the breath entering and leaving us every second. The Buddha taught that the moment you return to yourself, peace begins. Just one slow breath, and the door to peace has opened slightly. When hearing that teaching, many people wonder if just one breath is enough to resolve the pains of an entire life. Actually, breathing may not entirely dissolve all afflictions, but it helps you stop. Stop chasing. Stop agitation. Stop the inner noise. When the mind stops, wisdom opens. When wisdom opens, we see the path. And when we see the path, we can walk. Breath is the door for you to return to yourself. When you can return to yourself, you rediscover the strength you lost during months of rushing. In this life, everyone sometimes forgets to breathe correctly. You breathe fast, gasp for breath when anxious. You hold your breath when angry. You breathe heavily when tired. You breathe without even knowing you are breathing. And precisely because you don't know you are breathing, your mind gets caught up in countless fears and pressures. Mindfulness is simply knowing you are breathing, knowing the breath going in, knowing the breath going out, knowing whether the body is tense or relaxed, knowing whether the mind is chaotic or settled, knowing yourself in the present moment. When you know you are breathing, you no longer chase after the past. When you know you are breathing, you no longer rush toward the future. There is only now, only the present moment, only you, with your gentle and peaceful breath. Many people ask why the Buddha's teachings always emphasize returning to the present. Is it because the present is where there is no pain? Actually, the present still has challenges, still has suffering, still has things you must face. But the past holds regret. The future holds fear. Only the present is safe enough for you to stand firm. Only when you stand firm in the present are you clear-headed enough to handle what needs to be handled. The present is a support, a home, a haven of peace. And the door leading into that home is breath. So many people have spent their entire lives chasing success, unaware that they are losing peace little by little. When they are too tired, They try to forget through temporary pleasures. When they are too hurt, they try to escape. Few people are willing to sit down and breathe. Few people are willing to look into their own minds. But only when you are willing to look will you see. Only when you see will you understand. And only when you understand will you be able to let go. I want to tell you a small story. There was a woman living in a big city. The pressure of her job caused her to suffer from continuous insomnia. Her mind was always racing after unfinished tasks and problems she didn't know how to solve. She tried every possible way to relieve herself, but nothing helped. One day, exhausted from stress, she accidentally heard the teaching, "Place your hands on your chest and breathe deeply." She tried it and suddenly felt something she had long forgotten, that her heart was still beating and her body was still trying to protect her every second. She realized that life had never abandoned her. It was just that she had neglected herself for too long. That breath opened a new door for her to step into mindfulness and peace. Just like that story, I believe that you, or dear Buddhists listening here, have also sometimes forgotten that you need a place to return to. The body needs a home. The mind is the same. The mind needs a haven. Breath is that haven. You can go far, you can plunge into life, you can battle worries and pressures. But when you are tired, return to your breath. That is how the Buddha taught us to find ourselves in the vast ocean of life. Now, I want to invite you to begin the practice. You can sit comfortably, place your hands on your lap, or gently on your stomach. Just keep your body relaxed. When you are ready, gently close your eyes. Let your eyes rest after long, stressful days. Then take a deep breath. Feel the air entering your body. Feel your chest expand. Feel your abdomen gently rise. Then exhale slowly, as gently as a stream flowing over rocks. The breath going out carries away worries and fatigue. Continue to inhale very slowly, feeling that you are bringing life into yourself. Then exhale very gently, feeling that you are putting down unnecessary burdens. Inhale to nourish the mind. Exhale to free the mind. Each breath is a gift. Each breath is a return. Your mind is gradually settling. Your body is gradually softening, like a lake turning from agitated to still, like a flower opening from closed in the gentle light of morning. When you breathe, pay attention to what your body is feeling. You may feel warmth. You may feel lightness. You may feel a flow of energy gradually spreading through every cell. That is life being awakened. When the mind has settled, compassion will naturally grow. When the breath is harmonized, wisdom will also brighten accordingly. When mindfulness is present, peace naturally comes to you. Now, just breathe at your natural rhythm, without forcing, without pushing, without straining. Just simply breathe and know that you are breathing. No past, no future. Only this moment, the moment you are returning to yourself, the moment your heart is blossoming, the moment peace is opening, like a gentle ray of light, illuminating the hidden corners of your soul. The Buddha taught that the moment you return to yourself, peace begins. So you don't need to seek peace far away. You don't need to run to a truly quiet place. You don't need to wait until everything in life is favorable. Peace begins right when you breathe consciously, when you observe your breath, when you know that you are present for yourself. This life is vast, but the breath is always gentle. It is that gentleness that is the key to freedom. When you master your breath, you master your mind. When you master your mind, you master your life. Before concluding, I want to remind you of one thing. No matter how difficult life may be, as long as you know how to return to your breath, know how to stand still in the present, know how to be with yourself, then you can overcome any storm. Peace does not come from outside. Peace blossoms from within, like a lotus rising from the mud, but still retaining its pure fragrance. Your mind is the same. No matter how many challenges surround it, when mindful breathing is present, the mind will be clear. The mind will be light. The mind will be at peace. Remember that in every breath, there is a door opening to peace. In every moment of awareness, there is a ray of hope blossoming in your heart. And in every return to yourself, you are sowing a seed of peace for the future. When you are ready, slowly open your eyes. Keep this calm in your heart, and continue your life with a steadfast, light, and illuminated soul.